site changes to our existing upper parking lot, the cost comparison of the two options we're providing, and finally our recommendations. The purpose of installing these charging stations is first of all to accommodate the public to the increasing demand of the electric vehicles on the road today. Second is to promote environmental preservation. Next, the product description. Each charging station pedestal supplies 2 charging ports.
Okay, I'm going to text him while you're going.
Okay.
See if he wants me to call that. So go ahead.
We're proposing the installation of 2 charging pedestals equaling 4 charging stalls. One of the 4 stalls must be ADA compliant, and each stall has a cable length of 25 feet. In the next few slides, you'll see the charge time length charts for our 2 proposed charging stations. First one is our Clipper Creek option. As you can see here, the charging time chart. Second option is the AeroVironment option and its time chart. In the right-hand column, you'll see the charge time for a full charge for each of these models.
What's the dark column? Is that?
That's for a turbocharge. That's not what we're presenting. That's I think it's just coming out into the market, I believe.
So we're looking at what first?
Correct. The very right. It starts with 3.6 hours for the Nissan Leaf.
But is there more hours than that?
Yes, for the AeroVironment, it doesn't provide it here, but it's. It doesn't provide it here, but I received a
Hey, George, you're back on.
25 mile per hour charge time for the Tesla, actually. So it is very close to this. Both are within a mile or 2 per hour.
So they're all basically the same.
Yeah. Next slide shows our 2 options we're providing. First of which is the Clipper Creek option, and the second is the AeroVironment. The specs for each of these is nearly identical. Next slide shows the proposed changes we would need to do to the upper parking lot. You can see we'd start with new signs up here to indicate the new electric vehicle charging locations. 3 wheel stops to prevent damage to the new charging stations. Paint on the stalls, and green striping, change from white to green. This slide shows the 4 parking stalls east of the handicap parking in front of the building where they'll be located. This one shows the precise location in front of the building these charging stations will be located. Each of the 2 stations will center on 2 parking stalls each.
Is that one on the right? Is that being the way of the fire hydrant?
It's a 2 foot by 2 foot, so it shouldn't impede.
Sure, the fire department's all right.
I'll check into it. I'll double check that.
Probably all right. I'm
Yeah.
just curious.
I'll confirm it.
Is there a cable difference in strength? Which cable is slower than the other?
I checked into the specs of that. Because of your last question, they're identical. Both 10 gauge standard thickness wire. Next slide shows the total overall cost of the project for both options. With the charging station and the electrical work, the Clipper Creek option totaled to be $23,684.
You're saying that the actual cost after we get reimbursed is $4,700 and we actually put it in?
Correct. For the 4 stalls. That is not including
Okay, Holly, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Drew.
the changes to the parking lot, but that would be a bump, a couple $100, $200 perhaps.
So let's say the chipper, so it costs you like $5,000 basically to around somewhere there.
Yes, the last slide will show you what we are proposing. I think it's about $6,000 just to cover all costs. In summary, we intend on installing 2 dual port charging stations for a total of 4 parking spots east of the existing handicap parking. The AVA QMD will provide funding for 80% of the overall project price on a reimbursement basis. And we have provided 2 charging station options from which to choose. Our recommendation is 2 Clipper Creek pedestals totaling 4 charging stations, and an approval for the electric vehicle charging station project with a not to exceed budget of $30,000, which in essence would make a net cost of AVEK expected to approximately $6,000.
Need a motion now?
Do you have any questions?
Wait, I second.
Which one?
I second.
Didn't specify which option.
Of the one I recommend?
There's a Clipper Creek.
Clipper Creek, yeah.
Clipper Creek option. Okay.
Staff recommendation.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the Clipper Creek option. Any more discussion or questions?
Yeah. The committee, of course, met on this, went over it, and it seemed like the numbers will be got better, but the key is that if we do any staffing, you know, cars and stuff like that, we need to now start looking at, you know, cars. We can have here for these things, because the cost, there's a couple things. We're going to be building this building, and that'll give us environmental points. You know, there's going to be environmental points when we build the new expansion, and this will be able to tie into that as well for environmental things as well. So just want to keep that as well.
So the reason we chose the Clipper Creek was it's expensive.
That and it seemed more substantial. Cords are tightly wrapped around the top, while the aero bar kind of, the cords kind of dangle down.
And the ones I use, the better ones I see are all the wrapper ones that most of them you see in the public. I think it's because they're more durable, but also they're neater. You're not going to lower it, right?
I hope so.
Water supply, as you know, is at 5%, and they have allowed us to take a little bit before September 1st, so we are doing that right now, taking the 1%, and we also have pump in going, or we'll start either today or very quickly. Waterville's at 50% of historical average. San Luis is at 51%. This is the Northern Sierra precipitation, no change. You can see that's just a flat line, nothing's really happened as far as the watershed and so forth, water supply. So it's likely that we'll end up very close to that at about the 29 inches for the year. Reservoir levels, you can see Oroville at 41% of capacity, 51% historical average. San Luis at 30% of capacity and 50% of historical average.
Dan, could we go back to the bar side?
So the blue line is the current year, and the blue shaded area is the average.
So the only drier year we experience 23, 24 is 76, 77.
That's right.
What's interesting, the article is decades.
Yeah, it did not indicate 76, 77.
Some of those
being
are
drier.
Well, it's been decades since 76.
No, it said that this year was the second driest.
Yeah,
One thing you'll notice about hydrologists is they have a lot of numbers and they have a lot of specifics. It may be the driest on record for like Southern California. This is a measure of precipitation in Northern Sierra. So the reason I show you this is because that's kind of where our water supply is coming from. And those stations that are shown, so the 8 stations, those are all in northern Sierra. So, I mean, if you'd like, I could show what Southern California looks like from time, but that's why historically it could be the very driest year we've got so far. And many parts of the state, I think it is.
I think the data you're presenting is most appropriate for our interest. I was just confused about the contradiction with the newspaper.
Oh, yeah.
One of the things that really people probably don't realize either is the population in 76, 77 was probably far less than it is now, so we're trying to supply a whole lot more people.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
People that probably
Definitely.
don't understand it.
Yeah, no, that's definitely the case. Okay. Water banking, again, we've got the WSSP2 wells running here online. We're doing about 17 MGD. The wells are going to 80th and H, and the Mojave tanks are being fed from Roseman. State water project issues, again, we've got our pump in approved for the water up on the east side there. That will start this week or very, very soon. We do have agreement in principle on the contract extension. I've been going to Sacramento, getting us an extension on the long-term water supply contract. I anticipate Mike and I will be briefing the board on that when we get it. I don't know if you have anything new, Mike. They sent, no? Okay. Because they floated a draft, but we haven't seen a final version, I don't think, of the agreement in principle for the extension. We did, the state water contract requires the department to send us a statement of charges on July 1st, the year before it's due. So on July 1st or the 2nd, we received a statement of charges for the 2015 calendar year. And we'll be briefing the board on that. There are some changes in that we're going to have to kind of address as far as we go forward. Some of the fixed components, there are 5 components. One of them is the power component. The other 4 don't fluctuate too much in the year, and there was some fluctuation there. So we'll be talking to the finance committee and the board about those fluctuations. These are bills that aren't due until 2015, so we've got some time, but it is something we're trying to address as contractors with the Department of Water Resources. Operations, Quartz Hill, 33 MGD, Roseman at 5, Eastside 3, the Palmdale water connection, 1.5, and again, the water bank extractions are going to 80th and H, 17 MGD.
This time last year, we were about half.
And you mean as far as Quartz Hill and so forth?
The actual water, yeah. I mean, how much water running this year compared to last year?
Well, yeah, the Quartz Hill is 33 through the plant, but you have to add about 17 that come from the bank to supplement that, so really at about 50. So it's probably fairly close. I will say the county is running more wells 24/7, so that's taking some of the burden off of us.